welcome back. So today I'm going to be focusing on P7, which is to review the extent to which the final computer program meets client requirements, and also D2, which is to evaluate the final design and optimize software application against client requirements. Now, the reason I'm doing both of these together was simply down to the fact that I think they just make sense, but for D2 it's a bit more than it looks. It says evaluate final design, so that's the design stuff, and optimize software application against client requirements. I think we've already done this in the previous section where we did the review of the design and then we said, okay, we're actually going to do this and we're going to do this because. I don't think we need to do that again for this part. The main thing I think we need to focus on this for this part is the optimized software solution. So whatever you've programmed, we're going to review it and we're going to evaluate it. So very similar things. Now here, this is stuff I copied directly from the spec again. So on the spec, you go to C4 review of software solutions and you're going to see all this information there. Nothing crazy. I'm going to simply go through and do what I think you need to do for this section. And again, nothing here is in concrete. Nothing here is set in stone. This is not the only way to do it. This is simply my interpretation of it. If your teacher thinks you should do something else, then do something else. So first and foremost, I think you need to copy the requirements here along with the specification again. So that's simply whatever the client said they wanted and whatever you said you were going to do, whichever one, potentially both of them, I would have that list here again. Reason being, for you to review something, for you to evaluate something, you need to know what was necessary in the first place. So for me to review the program or evaluate the program to see how well it meets the client requirements or the client brief, I first need to know what the client actually wanted or what I said I was going to do based on what the client wanted. So this is my mini list here. I didn't finish it because it's going to be the same thing that you have in the previous sections. So one of the things I said was game welcome message describing the games, etc. All this is me saying, printing, hello, welcome to the most amazing game in the world. The games that you're going to be playing today are A, B, C, and D. That's it. Nothing complicated, nothing extremely hard to do, but put it in your list anyway. Every single thing that you've done, what I would do is have mini requirements or mini tasks, and every mini task that you've actually programmed and completed and it's working, even if it's not working, even still put it here because this is an evaluation, this is a review. So you need to know what was necessary. And if you completed it, just say complete like I did here as well. So get user inputs from teams. So team one, are you going to be a team or a person? Enter the name, so on and so forth. That's completed and working fine for me. Single person allowed, not completed. Maybe if that's something you did not actually complete and it was something that they wanted, say it's not completed. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't get every single thing working, attempt everything. Show how you attempted it, and if you don't get it, say you don't get it, and then in the evaluation you say why. So teams allowed, or that should be teams allowed. Again, this is just a random list I created. You go back to whatever you said your list was going to be and you focus on that. Itemize every single thing. So you should have, I would say, at least 10 things in your list, and you go through, and maybe if you completed it, say completed. If you haven't, say not completed. That's it. So here I say give screenshots of the program output at each stage. For example, here I have, let me move this down. Here I have a welcome message. So I'm going to run my program first. And when I get to the welcome message part, I'm going to screenshot it and show this is the welcome message section working. It welcomes the user to the program. It pauses for X amount of seconds. It's kind of a repeat of what you did for the previous section, but not so much because in the previous section, you might have only showed the actual code itself. And in this section, because we're reviewing the code or reviewing the final program, we're looking at the outputs only. So I wouldn't show the code itself here. I'd only show the outputs. So welcome. Let me actually go to mine, unit 4 here. Let's open this. Just give me a second. I'm going to press F5. Oh, this is running MicroPython again. So let me change that. I'm going to press F5 to run it. And what I would do is actually show this stuff here as a welcome message and maybe the first input. And that's it. And when I get to the next stage, which is the user input team or person. So let me put team, T for team. I would show this as a second screenshot and simply explain what's going on here. And then I would do that for every single stage I have working. So the next one for you guys might be, well, this would happen about 4 or 5 times. So you would have 4 or 5 teams, I think it was. And when you get to the very last one, the first game should be played. So where I have etc., maybe change this to first game played, and do your first game, then second game played, and you show the outputs of each of these. And again, the way I would show the output, I'm going to drag this up to the top so we have a bit more space to see everything. For me, I'm going to press on my Windows laptop, I'm going to press Windows flag, press it and hold it down, Shift and S, and I can screenshot the sections I want. I'm just going to grab that part, and that's it. The other way to do this is to press the start menu, bring the start menu up and type SNIP. Snipping tool comes up. This does exactly the same thing. You simply click new and it comes up with that same window. You drag and drop, sorry, not drag and drop, you drag over what you want. It copies it, done and dusted. So you can go back to your Word document now and you can paste it and you can say, okay, in this stage I did, let me scroll up, sorry. In this stage I did this, just explain everything that you need here. That's what I would do first. Now, there is the checklist that I copied from the spec. I would go through everything on here if it is relevant to what you have done. Only if it is relevant to what you have done. So down here, let me just quickly go through and give some context. So is this programmable? Is this program suitable for the audience? I'm going to say yes. Although not completed, the program allows users to play the games and keep track of the scores using an automated system. So once they run the Python program, they don't have to do anything else other than answer simple questions. Are you a team? Are you a person? How many people are in the team? And enter the team names. Would you like to continue or would you like to go back and change something? Very simple. Suitable for audience, yes. The people that are going to be using this program are most likely not going to be programmers. They're going to be average person that doesn't know anything about computer science or programming or IT. So they don't need to see what's going on in the background. They only need to see what's going on in the foreground. I could never sit down and program Microsoft Word, but here I am using Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word is suitable for me because I know how to use it based on what I'm seeing and I can type and all of that stuff. It's the same for the program. They don't need to see what's going on in the background. They only need to see and read the instructions on screen and do what they need to do. A bit wordy, but you can fix that the way you want. Ease of use. Anyone with a basic understanding of the English language should be able to play the game or use the system. The system uses a simple command line interface to ask the user some questions. So, are you this? Are you that? Users are then given a choice to use simple input options. For example, if they wish, this is supposed to be 2. If they wish to play as a team, type the letter T and the letter P if they wish to play as a person. Instructions are simple and are spread out in both space and time, allowing for users to easily follow. What this means, again, this is not space-time travel and all of that stuff. All I meant was that when I do something, I always like to have a new line. So in some programs, let me just give an example. You see something and then straight away you have another line under it, and then you have another line under it, and then you have another line under it. It doesn't look very nice. And even in some other programs, what you might see is one instruction here, then a space, and another instruction here, then a space. I don't like that. So what I like to do is if I do something, I like to give it some space. Do something else, give it some space. And I also put a sleep in there as well so that it doesn't just pop on screen for people. So you might see something pop up, then it waits a few seconds and something else pops up. It's just another way for the user to interact with the system a bit better because they can read it, it gives them some time and so on and so forth, right? So ease of use, I would say yes, very simple command line interface. If you use a graphical user interface, it's going to be similar, but you're going to use WIMP, so WIMP, windows, icons, menus, and pointers, and say why those are beneficial for your thing. Quality of software solution, Google search. Again, just search on Google what makes quality software. Go through that list and say what you have done. So is it readable? Is it portable? Is it easy to understand? Can someone else grab it and continue from it? Whatever you think is necessary, just go on and do that. So programming language constraints and other constraints. Now, the programming language that we use was Python. One of the main constraints of Python is that it's actually very simple, which is good, but it does a lot of abstraction, meaning you as a programmer, you give it a few commands and it does what it's supposed to do. You actually don't know what's going on in the background. Some people see that as a strength, some see it as a weakness because you don't actually get granular control, so fine-tuned controls unless you dive really deep into it. Because of this, if you were to write that exact same program in something like C, the programming language called C, it would run on average, I believe, about 50 to 100 times faster than it would in Python. Now, for the normal user like yourself or myself, we don't actually notice that because it's in milliseconds or nanoseconds anyway, because we have such fast computers. But whatever constraints that you had doing your thing, this is where you would mention it. Strengths and weaknesses of software solution. The strengths would be that it's very simple. It's a command line interface. It's very easy to follow. The instructions are very easy to understand. The commands you put in to continue or to move ahead, very simply, is either 1 or 2 or T for team or P for person. Very simple to follow. Weakness, it doesn't look very good. It does most of what it might need to do if you finished everything, but it doesn't look very good. A command line interface in 2023, when I'm recording this, is not the best interface to give to someone in the 21st century. People love graphical user interfaces, and this is why mobile phones and laptops and tablets and smart TVs have become so popular, because they have these really nice rich colors. And again, WIMP, Windows icons, menus and pointers. This is a lot easier to move around, a lot more intuitive. My program or your program, I didn't get everything working. That's fine. That's a weakness of the software solution. It doesn't have every single thing they wanted. Possible improvements. This is going to be quite a chunky section for most of us. Possible improvements, it's in the name. Whatever you think you could have done to improve the software solution. Okay, number 1, maybe I would use a graphical user interface instead of a command line interface. Number 2, I wouldn't allow the user. I think in my previous video I showed you a section that I didn't finish where the user was able to type something in and it crashed the program. Having a graphical user interface and having some validation and some verification as well, and some data type checking stuff, would ensure that that would never, ever happen. That's number 2. Whatever other possible improvements that you think you could make. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you guys do really well. And again, all this information that I've used here is on the spec. Every single thing is on the spec. So you don't have to go looking in other places for stuff. Use what they've said here.